Ever feel like criticism is this big, scary monster lurking in the shadows, just waiting to pounce?
Yeah, like you'd rather run a marathon than hear one more comment about that presentation.
This deep dive is for you.
We're diving into some fascinating notes on self-improvement today, specifically about how to handle criticism constructively.
We're going to take that monster and turn it into a stepping stone, ready to transform that dread into growth.
Absolutely. What's so interesting here is that we often see criticism as the enemy, right?
Yeah, something to avoid at all costs.
But tucked within these notes are 5 key strategies that can completely flip that script.
5 ways to use criticism to actually help us level up.
Exactly.
All right, let's hear it. What's the first one?
The first one might seem obvious, but it's often overlooked. Listen openly.
Okay, listen openly. Sounds simple enough, but
Hmm?
how often do we actually do that when someone's critiquing us?
Especially when it's something we've poured our heart and soul into.
It's like our defenses are already up and we're ready to argue back before they've even finished talking.
Right, but this strategy emphasizes the importance of resisting that urge.
So put down the boxing gloves and really hear them out.
Precisely. By truly listening without interruption, we're showing respect for the other person's perspective. And that open approach allows us to fully grasp the criticism before we even think about responding.
Which leads perfectly into the next strategy.
Ask clarifying questions.
Instead of assuming we know what they mean, we dig a little deeper. It's like that old saying,
To assume is to make
I've
an act.
asked out of you and me.
Exactly. But on a serious note, this is about seeking to understand, not about being right.
So it's not about saying, oh, so you're saying I'm a terrible writer.
Right. It's about saying, can you give me an example of what you mean by my writing needs work?
Much better. Okay, this next one is huge, and I'm definitely guilty of tripping up on this one. Focus on the message, not the delivery.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Because sometimes, let's be honest, people are just not great at giving feedback.
100%.
They might be blunt, they might be rude, they might deliver it with a side of sarcasm.
But this tip encourages us to look beyond the tone or approach and really extract the valuable insight that might be hidden within the criticism itself.
So ignore the tone, filter out the negativity, and find that golden nugget of wisdom.
You got it.
Okay, we've actively listened, we've asked clarifying questions, we've sifted out the actual message. What's next?
This is where the real transformation happens. It's not enough to just hear the criticism.
We actually have to do something with it.
Exactly. We need to internalize it and see how it can fuel our growth.
So we're reflecting on the feedback.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what resonates with me in this feedback? Where do I feel resistance? That resistance, that's usually a sign there's something there worth unpacking.
And finally, the strategy that might feel the most counterintuitive when you're on the receiving end of criticism, thank the person for their input.
I know. It can be tough, especially if the feedback was tough to hear. But trust me, it makes a world of difference.
It shows maturity.
Absolutely. And a willingness to grow, which are incredibly valuable qualities. And, expressing gratitude, even for tough feedback, can actually shift your entire mindset.
So instead of feeling deflated, you're actually feeling motivated to improve.
Exactly. It makes it easier to embrace those opportunities for growth.
So there you have it. 5 deceptively simple strategies that can completely transform the way we deal with criticism.
Turning it from a dreaded experience into a secret weapon for self-improvement.
And the best part is, these strategies, they're not just for the workplace, right? We can use them in our personal lives, our relationships, any area where we might encounter a little constructive criticism.
Absolutely. They're universally applicable, no matter who you are or what you do.
Now, here's a little something to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive.
Think about a recent piece of criticism you received.
How could you have applied these strategies differently? And what area of your life could benefit from a little dose of constructive feedback? Food for thought.